Hello and welcome to another episode. This is Gok's Car Lounge. I'm Gok and this is the Mercedes-Benz EQE 350 Plus in premium, courtesy of Mercedes-Benz of Hertfordshire. To kick things off, I'm going to start with the design. Now, in order for me to do that, I'm going to need a prop. However, I'm not going to find it here. Come with me. We'll get those in a minute. See, this is a pebble. Of course, it didn't always start life as a pebble. It was a rock, and through the actions of, strong currents in the sea, rivers, lakes and waters, it's formed into this beautifully shaped pebble. Much like this EQE. I mean, yes, this was designed by man and woman, but if you like, it was formed in an air tunnel. So it's got this fastback style rear, and there's no unnecessary crevices or accents or angles, so it's designed to be super smooth and super slippery, thus making it incredibly efficient. Don't need that anymore. In fact, the drag coefficient for the EQE is 0.2, which makes it the slipperiest car currently in production. The door handles tuck away amongst many other details, so it can move through the air as efficiently as possible. AMG line versions have these cutouts down here to allow air past the wheels in order to reduce aerodynamic turbulence. Everything affects aero, aero affects everything. One bit of design that really sticks out to me, I mean quite literally, is this. Now, this here for me is a prime bit of real estate. This is, a dominant part of the car. You look at it and you instantly see this. And this isn't where you charge your car. This, in actual fact, is where you put your washer fluid in, because the bonnet doesn't open to you and I. Yes, technicians can get under there to do some work, and again, that's all to make all these bits very aerodynamic, so there's no unnecessary cutouts on the bonnet to make it slippery. I don't want to like this, but I do. It makes sense. You pull up in a petrol station, you go to the pump and the water, you pop that out, you fill in your washer fluid. You don't have to deal with any of the faff there. It really annoys me that it's here, but I like it. It's a bit of a Marmite thing, I think. If you didn't already know, EQ stands for all things electric at the brand. It stands for electric intelligence, which plays on the words of emotional intelligence, which is what EQ is also known as. This is electric car number 6 at the 3-pointed star, and the latter E in EQE basically represents where this car comes from. It comes from the E-Class family, which we'll get onto a little bit later. This is probably compared more so to the EQS, understandably, because it shares the same design architecture, same features and the same design language, but actually it's a lot closer to the E in many ways. The design of the EQE can be likened to that of a skateboard. Let me explain. See, the wheels are very close to each end of the car, which means that after the wheels, there really isn't much car. The overhangs are minimal, therefore the bit in between the wheels, in between each axle, i.e. the cabin, is a lot larger, which gives us occupants a little bit more space. And it's really practical too. There's lots of space in the door bins here. The space in here is huge, literally goes up to my elbow almost. There's a little bit of storage in here, a wireless charge pad, 2 cup holders, and the glove compartment's quite large as well. But most importantly, there's a vast space down here which is where your transmission would normally be, but this being a all electric, obviously there is no gearbox, so you've got plenty of space down here. Like you can strap in your laptop, phones, shopping, all sorts. Plenty of space in the rear for a baby seat and a passenger. Actually,
we have plenty of space back here. It's really comfy, lots of leg room. Me and little G are very happy just on our little journey. So yeah.
There you go. And the boot, quite spacious too. I was able to put a large 2-piece pram into the boot and it fit just fine. From a practicality point of view, the EQE does quite well. Baby not included. Hey Mercedes.
How may I help you?
Tell me a joke.
How do you make the number 1 disappear? Add the letter G to the front and it's gone.
Very good. I don't want to get too bogged down in terms of the electric aspect of this car. Yes, it's electric. Yes, you have to charge it. I kind of just want to move on from that because electric cars now have been around for quite a while. And if you still have range anxiety, then I think just do a little bit more research. I think cars are just getting better and better now with the range. Charge points are becoming more readily available and charge times are definitely getting quicker as well. But to kind of give you an idea, since I've set off, I've done 23 miles and my range has dropped by about 18 miles. So it behaves no different to a combustion engine car. It will look at historic but recent data to see what your last drive achieved, and based on that it will work out what your anticipated range is going to be. This is powered by an 89 kilowatt hour battery, which means that the brochure will tell you 340 to 390 mile range depending on how you drive it and other outside influences, i.e. hills, the weather, and internal such as your air conditioning, your music and any other features that you might be using in the car. But on a full charge, I think in the real world you should be able to achieve anything between 300 to 350 miles. I think 390, it's a bit optimistic, but that is very, very reasonable. Most people won't even do that in a week. I'm a little bit apprehensive about driving EQ. Last time I was out in an EQ was the EQS, and well, this happened. Just had a blowout.
However, it did lead me to finding something out.
One thing that you must know if you own or planning on owning an EQS or an EQE is that if you get a puncture, you have a tyre inflation kit in the boot and you'll need to plug it into a 12-volt socket, which you will not be able to find in the car. You just won't. But I know where it is. I'm going to save you a lot of time and show you now. So, passenger footwell. Right. That is a passenger footwell. There it is. Right there.
A special shout out and a massive, great big thank you to Mercedes-Benz Hertfordshire for loaning us this EQE today for us to be able to do this video. Thank you very much. If you guys live anywhere around the Hertfordshire area, Hertford, Hemel Hempstead, Bishop Stortford, Stevenage, just make sure you hit those guys up. Any one of those branches, if you want to test drive this car, just hit them up. Say you've seen this video and fell in love, and that makes me look good, and say you want to test drive it, go there. Ask for Ken. Ken, he taught me stuff about this car that I didn't know. So Ken is a very wise man. Hit up Ken. I'm going to attempt to show you the power of electric. Watch. So now we're doing 65 miles an hour. Ready? I feel like we need to address the wheels on this car. Okay, let's move on. One thing I will talk about in here though is how refined, how smooth and how quiet it is in here. And earlier I said that this is more of an E-Class than it is an S-Class, and in many ways it is, but I think if you just plod someone in here and just tell them to drive, although there's no sign in here that will suggest that this is an EQE over an EQS, unless you're really, really on the ball, I think the average person will find it quite difficult to distinguish between the two because the cabin's exactly the same. You still get these beautifully designed, in fact, over-engineered and over-designed air vents. They look beautiful, and they've got the little LED inside them as well, so at night they really do come alive. This is the EQE 350 Plus, addressed in the Premium pack. You can of course go for the standard car as well as the Premium Plus. This one being the Premium pack over and above the standard equipment, which in my opinion is quite vast. You do get a few extras, but everything that you expect in a, you know, £80,000 plus car. Heated electric memory seats, driving assistance package, folding mirrors, blind spot assist, panoramic glass sunroof, mid-range surround sound system, MBUX with Hey Mercedes, LED high performance headlights, reversing cameras, all that good stuff is all included in here. One thing that you need to opt for the Premium Plus in order to have is the air suspension. In my opinion, I think anything around the £80,000 mark should really come with it. Having said that, the ride is incredibly smooth. I don't think you'll have any complaints with that. A car that's considered to be quite premium at an executive level should probably have it as standard. It is a lot of weight to carry around. It's just over 2,300 kilos, but it is very supple, it's very consistent, it's very smooth, plenty of power. And I don't know, maybe I have to drive the one with air suspension to see if there is any difference. This being the kind of car it is, in the sense that it's a executive business class kind of car, I don't think the weight is too much of an issue, because I just don't think this is the sort of car that you're gonna want to throw around. I don't think, other than it being like the AMG line dressing, I don't think there's anything really very sporty about this car at all. You also have the very immersive ambient lighting, which goes all the way from the door cards up to the dashboard, all the way around and into the rear as well. And you've got a choice of various different colours as well as colour combinations, which make it a very nice place to be, especially at night. It even has ambient lighting in the seats. And all of that is wrapped around some beautiful materials. You've got suede up here, you've got good plastics, you've got wood finish, you've got lovely little air vents here. The steering wheel feels good, and everything is at a nice arm's length away. Even the furthest point from the screen is easily reachable. Everything is pretty much very close to the driver, so everything is under your control.
Reviewing the EQE has been one of the most challenging videos I've done to date. In my experience, all electric cars pretty much drive the same. They're different, but different shades of grey. Yes, this is Mercedes refined and it's good tech, but nothing we haven't already seen in other cars. The challenging thing for me is who this car is aimed at. I'm not entirely convinced by the marketing, especially on social media, but that's a conversation for another day. The EQE could have been something much more, and an opportunity was missed, as it's now destined to be another chauffeur and company car user favourite, just like the E-Class. However, the SUV EQE could be a different prospect altogether. With all that said, what can I tell you about the car that Mercedes have built?
Take for example the light bar at the back of this car. The EQA, the EQB, EQC, EQE, EQS, not the EQV, but all the EQ cars have the light bar across the back at Mercedes, right? As does the electric range of Porsche, as does the electric range of Audi. Those three manufacturers all have the light bar going at the back. Why didn't one of them just do something slightly different? I think it's important to take this car on face value of what it is and its purpose, and it's what it's trying to do, and it's what it's trying to achieve, and what it's set out to do. And that is basically giving you an executive business class premium saloon with very, very respectable range, very high levels of comfort, luxury, quality, and to do the job it's designed to do. And I think the EQE does that very well. The one thing that I really hope and wish Mercedes do bring back is just the level of customization and options, not in terms of like specification and what you could have for options, but just to be able to give you a second or third choice in terms of colors for the interior, wheels, that's a big one, because at the moment you pick the color, you pick a pack, and that is pretty much a lot. I don't understand why when you're spending north of £80,000 that you don't have a few more color options in terms of, or even just wheel options, because these wheels, I mean, these wheels. When you put an address into your satellite navigation, you also get lots of information where you're going. It will tell you after a round trip, so to where I'm going to back, I'll still have 52% worth of battery. And the normal stuff where you can charge your car, whether those charge points are available. It will tell you if they're out of service or if they're busy, and it'll tell you how much power you have. So there's one here at the moment which is 150 kilowatts, but both of them are out of service. To the eagle-eyed viewer amongst us, you may have noticed these little paddle shifts that you get in the back of the steering wheel, and you think, God, this car is electric, doesn't have a gearbox, why do you have those? Good question, and I'm glad you asked. Those paddles will basically let you switch from normal recuperation to no recuperation and also strong recuperation, which basically means that normal recuperation is the brake pedal and the accelerator and all the radars and sensors in the car will read the traffic in front of you. At any time that your foot's not on the accelerator, it will use that momentum, that friction to put charge back into the battery. Every little bit that it can muster up and put back into the battery, it will. For example, if you're going downhill, you may want to switch it up to strong recuperation. Therefore, what it does is it increases the friction and that puts more charge back into the battery. If you want to coast, similar to putting a manual car into neutral perhaps, so no recuperation at all, you just want to maximize the momentum that you already have to maximize the distance that you're going, then you can change it to no recuperation. And that will basically mean the car's just free flowing. For example, when it's in strong recuperation and I take my foot off the accelerator, the car almost comes to a complete standstill. So if I take my foot off the accelerator now, 49, 48, 47, 46, 45, 44, 43, 42, 40. And all that power, rather than it going to waste, has now gone back into the battery.
So what's my final verdict? Well, it's a good EV. In fact, it's a great EV. I picked this particular car up with 75% charge, drove to Southend on a whim, done lots of driving to give you these shots and managed well over 220 miles, no problem. Didn't put a foot wrong. Decent comfort, good space, good tech. There are games to play when you're sat around charging. To me, however, this has turned out to be, and I quote, just an electric E-Class, which I appreciate may have been the goal as the name suggests, but there is a £25,000 premium over the equivalent E-Class. Make of that what you will. I can't help but feel Mercedes have left something on the table on the EQE. Job perhaps for the facelift. Quite literally.
So there you are, guys, that is the video of the EQE. I hope you learned something new, found something interesting, or at least entertained. And I feel like if I rambled on any more, then this was going to very quickly become a tech review. So if you are in the market for even a narrower niche and you want something like this but a little bit more luxurious, then of course there is the EQS, and I have Ken here, who I referred to earlier, to tell you a little bit more.
Yeah, so I must say, well done, Gok. This is the first video of the EQE where you don't spend the entire thing talking about the EQS. Now, the reason that that always happens is because this is very closely related to its bigger brother. And in terms of E versus S, I'm always an S man. So what I did is I got the keys to our EQS limo and put it through some sensible and some ridiculous tests to find out what the car is like to live with. So if you want to check that out, make sure to head over to my channel, Mercedes-Benz Hertfordshire, and watch the video there. And if you haven't subscribed to Gok's Car Lounge already, make sure to do that. There is a lot of good stuff cooking up.
Thank you very much for watching. See you guys in the next one.
Oop.
Just so everyone knows, obviously leave the rubbish out.